Do you want to say hello?
Hello.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Sydney Survivor podcast, episode 1. I'm joined here by my daughter, who is very excited to welcome you to the.
My name's Daphne.
You can talk not like a little kid.
I want you.
Why don't you help me by introducing the people that are joining me on the show today?
Yeah, okay.
Do you know who's joining?
No.
Well, you know what's his name?
That's Max.
Okay, in comes Max. Welcome to the show, Max.
Daphne. Thanks, CK and Daphne. Thanks for the introduction.
Are you excited for Max's lukewarm takes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look, Daphne,
I think
if
it's
you
a real
stick around
feel.
longer, I feel like you'd have hotter takes than me. So soon, CK, I'm getting the boot. Don't worry. I feel it.
No. We not everything can be spicy. Sometimes you need like a nice raider there to bring down
Absolutely.
the spice. So it's all about balance.
That's the secret, isn't it? Secret
and
to the
joining
good
us for the first time on the ORCA podcast. Really excited to have her here. The winner, the best winner we've ever seen in the LRG in Australia, Canberra Survivor winner, La Madrina herself.
Ma. Yeah.
Hello. Hi, Daphne. Hi.
All right. Thank you, my long. Go read dog names.
Bye, guys.
Bye, Daphne.
All right. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, I actually have my winning point from John there.
Excellent.
And Dan had it framed for me, and
That's a nice little touch. That's cool.
It's let me get the comments up. There's already 10 comments. Oh my god, everyone's like, they're saying hello to us because they're all excited to be here. I'm excited. First episode of Sydney Survivor. I have to say, it was, for me, the thing that stood out most is, I think, what stood out for everyone, the episode title, Kristie fucking Bennett, and her presence just being there, I felt just gave this such a element of legitimacy that was so, even though there's other parts of it that are a little bit first season LRGE, which you can expect from any new franchise, having Kristie there, I think, just really elevated the whole feel. What did you guys think?
Oh, absolutely.
yeah. Sorry, you go.
Sorry, Ma, go.
Ma.
Please go.
Let's get Ma. This is the first time here on the show.
Absolutely.
I mean, it was definitely interesting seeing her. Like, especially now it's been like almost maybe 10 years since she played, so it's really interesting. I was surprised to learn that she was like older than me because I always saw her as like really, really young. Yeah, it's exciting because it obviously means that, like she said, she's a fan as well, so it's good to see people who actually play the game, that there's people who are actually fans of the game and not just models or Instagram influencers. So it was a pleasant surprise, I think, for everyone.
Before we get to Max's take, Matt May Chang's asking, am I wearing a John Tan tribute shirt? And I am.
That is already comment of the season.
That's exactly what I'm doing.
Unreal. Was that intentional? It was intentional? Or because I swear you have about 4 of those shirts, TK, and you just wear them on rotation.
It's very hard to be the first boot, and I've got an interview with John. He wasn't available this evening. He had to get up early. It was too late. So I've got an interview with him, which I'll be able to put on later, and then we can talk about it. But he was a really good sport about it. It's, it's really challenging to be the first boot, I think, in any of these things. I know when we did Canberra, the first boot didn't want to do any media, and that's understandable. Like, it's a very challenging situation. So definitely here for JT with the shirt. Everyone is excited by the lineup. Our good mate Khan's pretty excited by it, Max.
Yeah, it kind of fits because I feel like this podcast has been like the Avengers of the original yellow tribe of Melbourne, and I'm glad I can join. I'm excited to see who else you bring from our tribe.
It was a legendary tribe, There's no doubt about that. I to be honest, I do need to get Laurel on for an episode, don't I? Like, that would she would be iconic. Well, we get into the show and start off with a bit of a welcome process whereby people are gradually arriving and meeting. And my first perspective on this was huge advantage if you're like the first person, What did you think about that, Max?
I thought I love how it was filmed. All the first interactions all on camera. You see people mingling with all the different cast, and obviously you get the excitement of when Kristie walks in. You see Maddie. I got to shout out Maddie P's face. There was unreal. It was priceless. Starstruck.
It's been memed multiple times already.
It's phenomenal, and just I liked how she just walked in gracefully, hugged everyone. Obviously knew her place, being obviously the first winner of Survivor, and the fact that there are so many fans of the show obviously playing their live version. And it was just really cool. It was like capturing that moment of, look, we're playing Survivor with the real Survivor, getting to meet her for the first time. And with these sort of things, you become close friends with the cast that you play this game with. And I'm sure she keeps in contact with a lot of people in this with the cast that she played with, which is awesome. And she's
according to John, she was at the live premiere they had last week, hanging out with the crew.
Look how good's that. That's just shows how strong this community is in so many great aspects. But going back, I just kind of rambled there. I'm not used to so much airtime, CK. I don't know what's happening.
I just gave you a question. You just froze. You just like no.
I'm rambling.
Like a deer head. Eli says they were told to arrive at a specific time, and if you came late, that's your own fault.
Well, yes, but Ethan says they were told between 7 and 8.
That's right.
If that's me, I'm like getting there at 7:59. I'm not.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I give it a window. That's just my personality. I'm always late. Leah did say she was the last one to arrive.
You did.
And I do think it doesn't really make a difference, because then we saw her in the scavenger hunt. She was the person I saw making the most like bonds and friends and like having chit chat. So I think I don't. An hour is never going to be a game changer.
Well, what is interesting, and again, I'm jumping ahead to John's interview, but he said he was one of the last to arrive. And what I could tell from just watching the video, Danny was also quite late as well. Like, we never saw Danny, and obviously I'm hyper focused on Danny because we know Danny, but I didn't see her walk into that group. So both of the names that sort of came up for the eventual boot were both people that were sort of not there around the time. In the early part. And to be honest, I think they missed an opportunity by not sending in Kristie last. Like, how did they not have the whole cast and then have some sort of dramatic introduction for Kristie? That is crazy, in my opinion.
Yeah, I guess people were just running really late. I mean, and this is where like the difference between the 1-day game and the 3-1 that we played. Max, I think you were the last one to arrive, and I don't think in your case it made that much of a difference, because we had the whole night to bond and get to know each other.
That's right. And we also in our season we also had that waiting period where we had to sit around in a circle and just not say anything, and that was a couple hours before we actually started our season.
Yeah, no shade on Melbourne Survivor, but they had us sit around for about 3 hours and not talk to each other, and I don't know why they were disorganized, I think, when they got the day put together.
Yeah. So, and I think the way they edited Sydney, they just really shows how awkward like it is to meet, and everybody's like, they had this like epic music playing over like a steady, like just like a static shot of people being like, oh, what are we doing? It's so awkward. So like everybody's so nice, and yeah, I think they really showed how actually, like, honestly, like, really awkward it is to be like, hi, don't put me out first. Like, yeah.
It is awkward. So they come out to the, they all meet and they greet, and then they come up to the sort of area. They've got the tribal area with the big sort of amphitheater, and they announce they're going to do a challenge where they're competing together, and they're in tribes, but they don't know their tribes for reasons. Like, no offense to production, but I don't really get the point of this. Did anyone else see the point?
Okay, this is where I think you have the really cold. That's a really hot take, in my opinion. I even wrote in my notes. I was like, I love this twist. because we even saw it with Kristie. She was like, with Leah, she was giving out eggs and she took a gamble. Like, Joseph could have been in another tribe. It worked out for her, but I think maybe the Easter hunt wasn't the right challenge. But imagine competing individually for a challenge, but you don't know who your teammates are. Like, I think that's a really interesting way. And then that way, I think, these games, people tend to just stick to their tribe and never change. But at least now you've had maybe a chance to bond with someone from the other tribe. I thought it was a really, really, really good twist. Like, go do a challenge, but you don't know what tribe you're in. I thought it was just interesting. Many different things could happen. Maybe if they were competing for individual immunity, it would have been more interesting. I don't know.
Yeah, like what if it was the same way they did it, but whoever had the most eggs got individual immunity for their individual tribes. So you could be making a call, I'm going to hoard eggs or I'm going to share them for the reasons that people did, like Leah, who seemed to be the most smart about it. She was very much sharing it around, and she had a great interview where she's like, I gave it to this person and they're on my tribe and that's wonderful, but I also gave it to these other people and I hope they don't blow me up.
What do you think, Max? I feel like you have
Eli. I'm not sure if you watched much of my podcast in the past.
The ORCA pod.
The ORCA podcast with CK and Annabelle. My lukewarm takes are pretty lukewarm. The twist, it was great. We haven't seen it before. I enjoyed it, but I would have liked to see if the difference of when the cast arrived, they had the time to talk to each other, get to know each other. What if that time was cut short? They go straight into the challenge, and it would have been interesting to see the dynamic of people talking more within the challenge and using maybe the approach that you're probably going for, Eli, with more interactions during that first challenge, if that time at the start was cut shorter, if that makes sense.
I think that's the best take you've ever had. I think so. Take you've ever had.
I was part of the scavenger hunt to start with in Canberra.
Yeah.
We had to look. I do think the landscape has a lot. It's like a big difference. In Canberra, we had big rocks and bushes to hide, and you could have those breakaway conversations like you saw, like me going to everyone. I thought Leah was kind of channeling that energy. I thought Marlene was also sharing some eggs at one point. I saw
Marlene had to share eggs.
Marlene had like a
already. I mean, bring pockets.
If there was individual immunity, she's winning.
Whoever had Marlene on their tribe was winning. Like, it was insane how many eggs
she's the reason that tribe won. I mean,
absolute MVP of the challenge, Marlene. And it's an incredible. Hey, here she is. She's very she's here. Marlene's here. You are the MVP of the challenge. The general feedback in the chat seems to be they like the egg hunt. They don't like my take. But you know what? We're here for differences of opinion, and I'll respect the masses.
And look, we have to be mindful of the what we see in the edit. I'm sure there's so much more happening behind the scenes. The chats that we saw that weren't filmed or weren't put in the final cut. So yeah, it's a great way to obviously get people break the ice, get people to find people that you vibe with, and I'm sure. If we were to see the people who stuck together at the start, and when we find out the results at the end, you'll see that those people probably stuck together at the start and played the game throughout.
It'll be interesting to review that back.
Yeah.
Now, I just want to flag, Leah's jumped in here with something that didn't make the edit. She gave away all of her eggs. So she rolled into the
tribe. So I think she took a gamble. It paid off. I thought, honestly, I was so impressed with Leah because I actually don't see the downside of giving your eggs. If your tribe and you give it to someone on the other tribe and your tribe loses, at least you have a friend on the other tribe, like a really good friend.
I sort of see a downside of 0 eggs. Like, isn't that, aren't people going to be like, what were you doing the whole challenge?
I think someone like Leah, she is very aware of what character she's playing. If it was you and you were like giving your eggs, I'd be like, what is this guy doing? But Leah is someone who's like, she's 20, she's like a little bit, she's acting a little bit like ditzy. Like, obviously she's really, from her audition, you can tell she's strategic and she knows that she can be funny about it. She can be a little bit like, like bubbly and just laugh about it, and people are not gonna think she's being that devious.
unless a butterfly attacks her, and then it's all.
Maybe she was just running. Like, yeah, I think Shane said she was running away from the butterflies, and maybe that's what happened.
Is this legit? Do you think she's legitimately afraid of butterflies, or is this some sort of like foxing sort of?
I think even if it's not like, if it's true, it just works so well to like paint this quirky character she's putting on. I think like, yeah, like she's playing the social game. She like, honestly, she was my favorite person this episode. Don't know how that energy is gonna, last throughout the day as it's really cold. But I think she was like, you need someone like that in your tribe who wants to, let's talk about this. Let's, otherwise it's just like the blue tribe standing in a circle being like,
No, and it was a good conversation. This is what you need. Like, whether to talk about something a little bit odd like that is fun for the episode. It's fun for the story being told, particularly for the tribe that isn't going to tribal council. Having footage like that provides, like, we're talking about it, right? If they were just talking about like, hey, what do you do for a job? I do this, like basically that's boring. So it's interesting content. And I guess while we're talking about the tribe that didn't go to tribal council, Red Tribe, am I right about that?
Yeah. They're called Bullabura. I wrote it down.
Yeah, I don't do tribe names. You know that.
Red or blue, CK. Keep it easy.
Red or blue.
I even said that. Keep it in the
simple. That's right. I like that Australian Survivor season of Blood versus Water, where they were literally going to call them Blood versus Water, but then stopped like an episode in. Like, that's nice and simple. The Red Tribe has all the advantages. So there were 2 advantages that could be found in the egg hunt. I think anyone had to assume that there were going to be advantages to be found in such an activity. It looked like some people were looking quite hard. I think Sam in particular, Survivor Superfan, was looking hard. And then I think other people just sort of stumbled on them a bit because eventually you were found it. So Ethan firstly finds safety without power, and his decision, notwithstanding criticism that he was giving on Tuesday night about Melbourne Survivor, that you shouldn't share your advantages with people, immediately shares this advantage with everybody.
It's so, I don't know, but then you have Shane, who Danny is next to him when he grabs it, and he decides to lie about it. Like, so
Danny's on the other tribe though, but it is
but Danny was next to Shane when, like, you don't know at that point. You don't know who's who. Like,
yeah.
I mean, yeah, that's right. I mean, Danny's not there to like tell people, but
he literally held it up when he found it and was like, "What is this?"
And especially again, it's like the landscape. They're in like this field where nowhere to hide, where people are even like, in confessionals being like turning their body to like everybody else. I feel like if I can't blame Ethan for.
Well, apparently Ethan was.
Like, I think someone saw me because it was on a bench. It was this big.
But meanwhile, everyone thinks they saw Shane. Everyone, like, people on Shane's tribe were sus of him though. Like, someone was saying he found something. They saw it. He might have had something in his pocket. So Ethan's got safety without power. He reads out safety without power. He's like, I don't know what this is. Now, if you were, he says, now look, it's a bit hard to believe because he's currently hosting a Survivor LRG podcast. And so when you're doing things like that, it's hard to say you're not a super fan.
But he is. It's true.
Yeah, I know it's true. And I know he hadn't done that at the time. But do you buy the I'm not a super fan thing on the LRG or not? Like, obviously some people aren't. But would you buy it from Ethan, do you think? First impressions.
No, with Ethan's personality and like archetype, I would see him as a young super fan. I would even think he plays like orcs. Just having played 2 of these, I feel like there's a consistent like archetype of people who like apply. And then Ethan, if I met him, I would love him, but I would definitely be like, this guy's a fan and he's sharp. I was watching and I wrote on my I didn't know Ethan didn't know about it. In my notes I wrote like, he's lying, like, no way. This guy doesn't know what safety without power is. Yeah.
And look, I agree. I love your call. He's like, it looks like someone that plays orgs. And as someone, I've officially retired from orgs now. But as someone who played orgs, I'm not taking the offense there. But he does have that vibe and he shouldn't take offense either. And like on our season, Chloe said she wasn't a Survivor fan, and we all believed that. And it was true, right? Like no one was doubting Chloe. Like no one thought she was foxing us on that. I could see people thinking he foxed it. Malene says she bought it, but she's not sure what she says about her.
You can tell. I think in LRGs that's a really big divide, and I think we saw it in the Blue Tribe. Someone like Lacey, she says she is surprised that people have trouble so far. So you can tell that Lacey is probably not the biggest Survivor fan. She's just kind of out of her element, and which I think is where like the disconnect with her and Michelle and Danny kind of came. But to be honest, sometimes like those people are the people that you want to take under your wing and take far, because super fans with super fans, like it works at the start, but then what happens when things get nasty? I think we'll talk about it later, but I do think like them keeping Lacey in the end was the right choice for them.
Yeah.
And I think the Red Tribe has a few players like that who maybe there to have fun.
We can go through them and see what we think about them now that we've seen them play. And particularly, I'll get keen to get your guys' input because you weren't on the cast reveal. Aston wants to know how I did in my last ever org.
Of course,
no one ever asked. He asked the question.
Did you win?
There are so many other good comments. No, sorry, go see.
It was stranded All-Stars. So it was an All-Star returnee season. I lost Final Tribal Council 5-4. So you can't get too hard about that. Like,
you can tell Nick about that if you want to cry about it.
Yeah, just like Nick. Lost Tribal Council 5-4 in an All-Star season. So I'm happy and now I'm retired. The Red Tribe, let's talk about some of the people that were calling out. Ma doesn't like that. Yeah, did you see Ma's face? Face? That was her reaction to that. God, like, wow.
I mean, they are both challenge beasts and losing finalists, so why not?
You're just like get out of my head with that response.
Also, there was another talking about Mel. There was another comment that she made a little further back about the colors of the buckets when the people were looking for the eggs, and the colors represent like it's a bit further up. So if you want to post it, but the colors were the same of the people who were on the tribe on the.
Mm-hmm. So if you were paying attention, you could probably figure out who's in your tribe.
And apparently that's what a few of the cast members did. They worked it out and stuck together.
That's really smart. This is where, even the fact that people were finding advantages, I was like, oh my god, yeah. Like I would totally be focused on making friends. Yeah, that's really interesting. I do want to say like a shout out to the people in the crew that we know, like Maddie, Mel. I spotted Marcus. They did such a good job. It looks like if the players were freezing, they must have been also like so cold, and they're not even playing. They're just holding phones and interviewing people. So honestly, crews I will always give a shout out to because they were amazing.
Yeah. And you get no glory. You're just helping out and helping other people live their dream.
And Maddie Ching is like the MVP of crewing.
Maddie Ching is the absolute LRG Australian king and MVP of crewing. And I love that the only LRG he was on was like somebody dropped out and they said, hey, do you want to play in backyard? He's like, yeah, great. And he got his chance. Like he deserved to be on the season.
He's the godfather of LRGs.
He brings the effort. He brings the effort. He's a legend. I want to come up with this bucket thing. So does that mean the tribes weren't pre-sorted? They actually sorted themselves. They like chose themselves by picking up particular.
Well, I think they were sorted, but it was like if you were not paying attention, you could have figured out. I think because they're really well mixed. I think the tribes, we didn't have any like disparity between like male female. I don't know. Yes, buckets were sorted into tribes, says Ethan's.
Oh, they had their names on it. Okay, there we go. Danny says they had their names.
There you go. So maybe Leah knew that Joseph would be in her tribe and she was just giving,
she gave it to a bunch of people who weren't on her tribe. So
amazing. Honestly, what a queen. I love her.
So, I love the strategy. I don't think anyone else was like. I think Merlene handed some off, but it's because she just couldn't hold it anymore.
She's also in my top players, Merlene. I think there's one qualm I have with Merlene, which we can get into. But
sure, we're talking about Red. Let's do it.
There's nothing that pisses, like, it's my pet peeve in Survivor when people think lying about their jobs is like this mastermind move. No offense to press and company, especially lawyers. Like, honestly, I don't care. You could be the prime minister. You could be Jeff Probst himself. I don't care what your profession is. I don't think
You could be Kristie.
garbage man can win the Survivor as much as the one of the partners of the top 3 Adelaide firms.
Top 7 in the country. Thank you very
Top
much.
7 in the
Mark.
country. I did think it was hilarious that Joseph is line about being a lawyer, because it's like, why? I think we saw it
He's
with
the third person in Australian LRGs to do it. The third.
And I mean, I think it's like the least amount of lying you can do in Survivor, the better. We saw with Scott, for example. Well, I mean, in Melbourne Survivor, you can't share that part of yourself, and I don't know. For me, it's not even that. It's just like, why? Like, no one cares if you're a lawyer. Like, no offense to press and company, like I said. But especially, I mean, the lawyer I can kind of understand, but Merlene lying about being a chiropractor because she doesn't want people to think she's a successful businesswoman is like insane. Like,
I will accept that. You can understand why cops don't want to say they're cops, or lawyers don't want to say they're lawyers. But yeah.
But chiropractor, I was like, I was dying.
That is very good. I had you all convinced that I wasn't a lawyer. The goal, though, was to pretend I was just a chilled out like musician, and so, but instead of being the evil lawyer, I was just the evil musician. So it didn't really serve my objective.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but like chilled is definitely a word I would use to describe CK. Yeah,
that was the thing I was gonna be like.
Chilled
user.
Yeah, absolutely. You're just like the cool guy. You're like, how old? 26 and playing.
I was just the evil muso. No one cared I was a musician or a lawyer. Like, this guy's just bossing everyone around. Get rid of him.
It doesn't matter what your job is. It's like your personality. Like, CK, you could be a musician, and your personality is still
exactly
the same. Joseph, I actually met Joseph at a trivia night in Sydney, and just talking to him, he's so eloquent, and the way he talks, you can tell he's in some sort of white collar job. Like,
yeah.
So for him, I mean, he's saying, what is his life? He's saying he's a medical researcher.
Assistant research, yeah.
Yeah, and Melina said here, it's fun lying. And look, I agree with her. And,
yeah, it is
and
fun.
Look, part of it, like, not only was I doing it because I thought there'd be a benefit in it, but I don't think there really was. Because as you say, in the end, it's your personality that matters. But I thought it would make good TV. I thought it would be good for the LRG if I'm making a whole thing about I'm lying about my job and your lawyers don't win Survivor. Like, it just makes good confessionals and it's good television. And I told the casting crew I was going to do that. And I think they sort of expected me to be doing it a bit because I think it provided content.
Oh, definitely. I'm not having a go at content like that. Yeah. I would never say you don't provide content. And I think Joseph and Merlene are also very colorful characters, and I'm so happy that they're on the same tribe because then I'd love to see how they both lie about their professions to each other.
I want to go through
Merlene.
I can't say Merlene. What is Matt saying here?
Sorry.
I
think he's criticizing your accent. That's racist.
Yeah, very. Take offense, Merlene.
Well, come on,
Can we go now that we've seen glimpses of the cast? Can we talk about each of them? Because that's what people want to hear.
Yeah.
Let's start. We'll do red, and then we'll start talking about blue, and sort of lead up to tribal council. So we've talked a lot about Merlene. We all love her. We've talked a lot about.
I think I wrote a name. I think she's great. I think she's going to go really far.
Yeah, I do worry, like. And I hope not, like because she is, 51, she's older than, like Leah, who's 20. So I'm hoping she can bond with those people, but I can tell she's really strategic. So my only worry with Merlene is that in a swap or at any point, people might just a quick vote, like we need to win challenges, which, I mean, she's a marathon runner, so I don't think that would be an issue, but it is a thing that happens.
I actually feel that if you are Merlene and you have her, as you say, she's 51, you should actually be pretty honest about your fitness level. Like, I understand that if you're a 30-year-old person, late 20s, you don't want to tell people you're an ultra fitness athlete. But if you're actually older, I think that actually helps you. The people, you should just tell someone, I've run a
Completely
marathon
agree.
before. They're like, oh, great, she's going to be good.
Yeah, completely agree with that.
But then it's also such a easy target. Just someone, oh, she's super fit. She's going to be really good at the challenges. Let's just.
She doesn't need to say ultra marathon. She could just say she's run a marathon.
But I mean, I think Marlene's in a really good position. She's, put up this small alliance with the other two women in her tribe. I drew the red tribe was very interesting to me. I even drew a diagram, so bear with me.
I better let's get this up. So apparently it was me. Sorry that I called you racist, Matt. All right, you're not racist.
Marlene, she recruits Jazz and Amanda, who I don't. I mean, we don't know a lot about Jazz and Amanda, but I don't think they're like the biggest like strategic like psychopathic Survivor fan. And I think Marlene would be like the leader of that little group with the women, and I think that's a really good group. And then I think, like we haven't seen the Red Tribe go to Tribal, but I really like, it seems like Matt P is in a really good position, like right in the middle with Ethan. Like they're both still talking to everyone, trying to choose which way to go. So I think Ethan and Matt P in this Red Tribe are in a really good position.
Didn't Marlene though talk about wanting to target Ethan because of the advantage?
Yes.
Marlene,
She definitely brought up his name.
Yeah. She's like, he's got this advantage. It's it's a problem. He's got to go.
I read that as she wanted to flush it. I don't think she wanted to vote Ethan out. But I did have in my little diagram, I have like people in the middle, people here, and I have Shane. Poor Shane in a little bubble by himself in the side.
He's not by himself. He's got his legacy advantage.
Well, yeah. I just, even with the way they were talking, I thought Shane, maybe he's not the most extroverted person straight away. I think he was, like he wasn't connecting with his tribe as much as someone like Ethan was. He was, everybody's friend, like, yeah.
But also,
people,
we saw.
There you go, Max.
I was just thank you. I was just going to say how I'm pretty sure in the next episode we see Shane potentially get another advantage. So
yeah, he likes it.
Could be stacked.
Yeah, look,
his pockets are full.
Who needs friends when you got advantages?
Honestly, I do think. I still have to check the rules, but his legacy advantage can be used in the first tribal.
Marlene is after Ethan.
But is this? Can he use it at the first tribal he attends, or is this the first tribal like the one we just saw?
No, I think Ethan can. Ethan.
Shane. So Shane's advantage says you can use it at when there's 6 people left, or you can use it in the first tribal before merge.
After merge?
13. Okay, that's good to know because I was wondering if he could have used it. Like next time he goes to tribal, can he use it? No.
No. And I don't think you'd want that with the legacy advantage. The whole value is like the potential bequeathing it to future people.
Yeah, he said first merge vote. Oh yeah, so sorry. So it's
final 6 and first merge.
So Max could have used that actually last episode.
Yeah, but who would have bequeathed it to Max? Annabelle, maybe. If Annabelle had a legacy advantage.
He would have used it at the first merge of the vote. First merge.
I could have used
in the multiverse. In the multiverse, Max, is a world where Annabelle had a legacy advantage and bequeathed it to you, and you used it.
Who else? I would have won.
Who else is on the Red Tribe that we haven't
Matty P.
Matty.
Oh, we talking about Matty P. He's in a good spot. He's in the middle. He's hooked up with everyone. Everyone loves him.
Matty has a really big advantage because not only has he played a live game before, he's played a 1-day game and he made it all the way to the final 3. And I think he learned a lot from Rosie, our other Avenger from our tribe, from their yellow tribe. I think Matty P is the sweetest person, and he's such a fan, and he's so endearing, and he's like really tall, so he will be an asset in challenges. Very warm. My only worry about Matty P is that I don't know if he's the kind of person who will take a group of people and lead them. I think he's more comfortable being, in the middle, like not making like the big choices.
No, you're spot on. My call for him is he makes the end and loses. That's how I've called my predictions.
Well, I love Matty P, so I hope not. But yeah, I can see. I mean, it's happened before, but I hope that he learned heaps, and he even said it. He's gonna keep it secret, and I think he's in a really good position right now, and nobody is even thinking about burning him out. So
no one will. Look, I met him when he crewed and helped us out with Melbourne Survivor 4. He was sort of on my crew, and immediately I don't met this guy, and immediately I'm just like, this guy's so genuine. The way he speaks to you is so real. He's so honest, and he's being humble, and there's nothing fake going on. You just feel like this guy's just being really honest and genuine with me.
Yeah.
And so he's like the anti-me, right? So if you can give off that vibe immediately in a game like this, like people are gonna be like, yeah, I like this guy's vibe. And really a lot of this comes down to just vibe.
It's vibes. One day it's all vibes. And I think Matt's downfall, unfortunately, would be his paranoia. I do think he's not someone who he needs constant reassurance, I think, as an ally. And but if he can keep his emotions in check and he can back himself up and sometimes just take a leap of faith a little, I think he'll be fine. But
I think you're actually, that's a really great call, because my other vibe about him is he's one of these people who, again, is like the opposite of me, right? He doesn't have enough confidence. He should have more confidence, but he doesn't. Whereas I have too much confidence, you see? It's again the opposite of me.
This is his, as Mark pointed out before, this is his second time playing a one-day game. He would have learned from the things that he did well and the things that he could have worked on. And I'm excited to see how he uses that in this game. It's also like he's incredibly likable. He's going to be a huge social threat. And I feel like he will surround himself with those people who can make those moves in terms of pushing his game forward.
I think he's just an emotional player, and that's just who he is. I think this emotional player, I think Leah, she strikes me as someone who's a bit, she reminds me a little bit of Anna from Canberra, but if Anna was extroverted, I think she would be Leah, like the young 20-year-old who's like really sharp and really bubbly and, way younger than everyone else. So I think that's like everyone. I mean, Joseph, we spoke about his line about his job. I think he's pretty quiet this season. But this episode, I think he's in a okay position, Joseph.
Yeah.
I think on red?
Yeah.
No, we still have Amanda, Jazz. We've touched on Ethan, and we touched on Shane and Leah. So we
talked a little bit about Amanda and Jazz. They didn't get a lot of content in this episode, so it sort of makes us hard to.
I did write that Amanda was saying she's self-admitted that she's not very fit, and that the hill with the eggs was a bit much for her, which I thought was very funny and very. I think she's very self-aware and self-deprecating, which is a very good quality to have in Survivor. I think if this tribe had gone to tribal, I think I would have been.
Who do we think's alive? That's
Leah and Joseph.
Well, I can show you my diagram. So I have Merlene with Jazz and Amanda as a very solid block.
Yep.
And then I thought I had Leah and Joseph more.
Yep.
On the other side with Maddie P. I'm not sure who's choosing. I think Ethan would be more with the Leah and Joseph side. They're a bit younger, and Merlene's coming after Ethan. And like I said, I think Shane's just like this, like he's like in the naughty corner for now. I'm sure he'll find it. Yeah.
Yeah, and maybe Shane is someone that Marlene might look to bring in. He's a bit older, like she is, and he's a bit out on his own. And you got the sort of younger crew as well, so like that could be something she looks to do. It'd be a smart move for her.
Yeah, I think so. I think the most valuable people at the start. I never understand why people vote out the person with no allies. I think that's you don't vote that person out. You bring them into your alliance and you make them a number for you.
Didn't you vote out the person with no allies in Canberra?
Yeah, well, that wasn't. I was trying very hard not to. I was trying very
You did.
hard.
You wanted to vote out Malcolm. You were trying to change it up.
Yeah, so I think, and I think we'll talk about
Or
it
Joe.
in the other side when we talk about the bottom blue. But I do think the easiest way. This is what I always say. The easiest way to not be the first person voted out is to talk to everyone, because if you're in the minority, maybe it'll get switched to someone else. And if you're in the majority and the minority gets lucky, say John had an idol, Danny would have gone home. But because, so I think it's really smart if Merlene were to approach Shane next episode, or anyone, then, because Shane does have an advantage. You don't know what it is. So if you're not talking to Shane, what are you doing? Yeah.
Exactly. But before we finish up on these guys, just quick word on how you guys feel about a legacy advantage. Everyone knows he's got something. It's actually sort of good to tell at least your alliance about it, because it's non-threatening right now, but it's actually bad because, you might get game changed and voted out with it so that you will bequeath it to someone else that you might like. So it's a really hard one to know how to play because of that risk. But my view is, if he finds a group that he likes here, 1 or 2 people, he should probably share it with them. And then he's particularly to gain some trust, because it's not a threatening advantage for them in the first 6 tribals. And the first 6 tribals are what people are so paranoid about, because everyone wants to make merge.
Yeah, such a good, legacy advantage is rare that you'll take it to final 6.
Yeah.
It's very situational, like that you'll need it. So I agree that I would share it and play it at the merge. Yeah.
And say it's for our group, and we can use this to make sure we protect ourselves at merge.
Again, Max would have loved one in Melbourne.
It would have been
Shane doesn't have the game changers experience or the survivor experience to know what to do with his legacy advantage. So
I know,
interesting to see.
we're talking about it. I mean, after having analyzed it, but we know you're in the moment. You're not thinking. I'm the last person to think over advantages. I'm all about the vibes, and I think if you didn't vibe sharing it, that's fine.
It's very hard for him to know if you haven't watched Survivor and suddenly you got an advantage. There's we've seen everyone who's watched lots of seasons. You've seen people use them and tell people and it blow up. You've seen people not tell them and blow up. There's a lot of strategy to it, and you don't have any baseline of examples to draw upon as to what is the best thing for me in my particular circumstances. So, and then you've got a bunch of super fans going, "What did he put in his pocket?" So it's a bit tricky like that.
Would you share it, Matt?
Would I share it?
Yeah, would you share your advantage with your tribe?
A legacy.
With my closest people, yeah, I would have. Yeah, I would have. Because it's especially in a game that runs so fast, you have to really just lock down those alliances. Just say, look, I'm with you. This is what I have, and it just gains that trust with someone. And I'm with whoever it is you're playing with, especially on the Survivor on steroids format. Yeah. So I would. In this situation, I would.
Okay.
What I might do now, I know this is a bit roundabout than how we would usually do it, but I've got the pre-recorded interview with John, and I've got a lot of JT, and I've got a lot of information about, what was going on that we didn't necessarily see in the edit about this particular episode, of course. And I'm just going to know that. So I think it's easier maybe if I play the interview now, and then we can come back and talk about that in the context of the Blue Tribe, because then we're going to have a bit more information of the dynamics on the Blue Tribe. And I think it's a better vibe than just ending with a pre-recorded interview. So to be very clear, obviously there's edge of extinction in this game. We've been told that in this first episode. So when JT may come back. So when I've interviewed him, I said, I don't know if you come back. I don't want to know if you come back. If you come back, we'll give you a second interview later on, right? Obviously, whoever that is. So we're just going to interview now on the first episode and get your takes about that first instance that happened. So if everyone just bears with me, I'll still put your comments up while the video is going to keep everyone entertained. We're going to present. Going to go, share screen. Why don't you guys talk while I sort this out?
Sorry.
Who's your witness pick, Ma?
my winner's pick at this point, I feel good about someone like TK on the other side. Yeah, on the blue tribe. I think I want it to be Leah or Ethan, but I think they stand out too much, in my opinion. I think TK is like the perfect middle player. Yeah.
I'm torn. I think I'm gonna go with my gut. I have Michelle as my winner's pick, and close second there was Sam.
Yeah, I think the blue tribe. I don't know. I think the more wacky characters on the red tribe. I think the blue tribe has some good. I can't wait to talk about the blue tribe. I think there's really good. I do like the TK's copying CK. I did write in my notes. Do you think his name is Tris Kelly?
Tris Kelly. Yeah, this is. I was like me. I came with a mustache. The different.
That's just CK in a hat. Yeah, I think Michelle is also really good. I mean, I'll talk to her about her more, but I met her briefly. She runs the Survivor Facebook page, and she runs. So I think she's a good pick.
Okay, I'm going to bring up this interview. Feel free to jump in with comments or whatever, and people going.
Well, thank you, John, for joining us and making some time earlier in your day for this pre-recorded interview. I know you couldn't make when we're doing the show. Thank you very much for coming on.
Hi, thank you very much, Chris, for inviting me.
Well, look, I know how hard I've not been a first boot, but I've spoken to other people that were, and I know how difficult it can be to come on these shows when you're in that situation. It's a real hard thing for everyone who goes on these shows. You seem to deal with it quite well on the show when you got voted out. Like you had a reaction, but it wasn't like too negative. You sort of couldn't believe it a bit, but you know, it didn't seem too disheartened by it. Was it pretty bad at the time, or were you sort of it is what it is sort of thing?
Oh, look, I think back then when it was being filmed, look, good thing there's Edge of Extinction. I'm still there, so I still got the chance to get back in the game. The only problem was that I did sort of know I was going home, and I knew why. Like, it wasn't anything personal about me doing anything wrong. It was just that we didn't have time to talk much to each other. And I think, like, my biggest mistake was that we did get to like meet each other and greet each other before the game started. I tried to like be a bit of a grey man and not the guy that talks too much, because I felt if I was the guy that, you know, has the big mouth, I could like get on people's nerves or make myself a threat. So I wanted to just try blend in normally, but I think because I acted too normal, that could have potentially got me out. Even though like it showed a few things in the edit, like how it changed to me. It was between me and Danny. But yeah, it just happens, you know.
Can we talk a bit about that introductory thing that you mentioned? It seemed like there was a bit of an advantage for some people if you were one of the first people to be put in that situation. Like if you came in late, there's like 12, 13 people there. It's very hard to get to know everyone. Whereas if you're there first, you sort of get to meet everyone. Did you?
Yeah.
Whereabouts did you come in that situation?
I think, I was definitely the last person that came. I rocked up like 5 minutes late or 10 minutes late. So yeah, and I think everyone was getting to know each other. I was more like letting people approach me, and people approached me more and talked to me. It wasn't shown that in the edit, but I think it's because people met there first due to what the cast told me after the game. And yeah.
They met people there, and that was a bit well, and that makes sense because it's the first vote. I played these before. You don't have a lot of time, particularly in a where it's, you know, meet, challenge, tribal to build everything.
Yeah, and I'll be honest with you on that. So even though it would have, if sure you were seen in the episode, you wouldn't know how they did it when filming. As soon as we got straight to the game challenge right away, we were put on the same tribes right away, and then we only had like, I think it was around 15 or 20 minutes to talk about who we should vote for, and then because it was so small, we had to rush. I think also a problem was that I did like have Luke, who's played with me in an online game, and it wasn't shown in the edit, but he did tell, I think because I know Luke and Leah from Eli's main all go with Sam, I think what happened was that like Luke was talking a lot to people and managed to make a lot of friends, and I was gonna like not rat him in, hopefully he didn't do the same to me, but he did. And and he wrapped Leah in as well. It wasn't shown. We pretended we didn't know each other, but Luke went around and told everyone that he's played with John and Leah before, and he is not like gonna play with anyone who's worked. So it kind of like put me that. I think that's half the reason that kind of put me on the spot. So yeah, my game was sort of. Say again?
Yeah, well, certainly in these situations, if someone's willing to put out a name, then most people will go along with it because, it's just no one wants to say names in the first instance. Luke did have a confessional about how you were trying to sort of tap him on the shoulder and say, come have a chat with me. And he wasn't very interested in that. And obviously they didn't give the background that you've just given about your prior relationship in orgs. But clearly, yeah, you were looking to use that relationship. And as you say, he was not as keen on it.
Honestly, no, I was not looking forward to using a relationship with him. I noticed the way he's played. There's bits like where we've kind of like had clashes in the past where I think he'd call me a bit chaotic, but he's also been chaotic too. He probably hasn't been chaotic yet. I won't get into it too much, but there were just things that happened in the online game in the past, but that's irrelevant now. I think due to what you see Luke's confessional now, Eli did not show the edit where I did say I'm not kind of comfortable being with Luke. And when Eli put me on the tribe with Luke, I was not happy with that. I would have preferred he was put with Leah. So I did tell Eli, like, if you didn't put me on the tribe with Luke, maybe I could have been in a safe situation. And also, I think what it didn't show in the edit was that it might have made me look bad because, I'm doing the wrong thing. But the reality was the reason why I tapped Luke on the shoulder was because I found out he outed me.
Okay, so you wanted to talk about that, yeah.
And first, like, he admitted to me after the challenge that he told people he played with me, which I wasn't happy with. And then I let it go. I wasn't holding a grudge, but I was kind of like, a bit annoyed with that. And then some people, you would have seen Lizzie tell me, oh, Luke said he's not voting you out. And I think like in the beginning, and then I think Sam and PK, they told me that in the beginning, like it didn't show like Luke saying, I don't want to play with people who knows me, but they did say to me that like they were considering Danny at one point because they didn't speak to Danny that much either. Then I think because they didn't have time to rush, they're like, oh, fuck it, we'll just vote like John or whoever, and then it just came like that. But Sam admitted to me that PK told me that he was planning to vote Danny at the time, then switched to me last minute. Sam was following Luke because he and Luke already had a good relationship. So that was like the problem.
I saw as well, like a lot of the scenes that were in the episode, you seem to be hanging out with Kristie quite a bit. Is that just what appeared in the edit, or were you guys actually like hanging out and chatting quite a bit?
Look, I'm gonna be honest. Okay, yeah, well, I'm gonna be honest with you. Like, I wasn't like, look, I was talking to her. She wasn't someone I wanted to go like to the end with, of course, or be like my ride or die. But I wanted to have like a good relationship with her, and I planned like I didn't want to like suck up to her too much, saying, "Oh, I'm a big fan of you," blah blah blah, because a lot of people would have said that. I didn't want to come across as sucking up to her.
Yeah.
Only because I haven't done that in online games, but I've done it to previous Survivor players in the past. And look, anyway,
no, I think that's the right call. Like she's there to play a game. She doesn't want a bunch of people just gushing over her. She wants people that are going to play the game properly.
I want it to be normal with her. And look, there was like something like about her being resilient that I had due to my background that I wanted to share with her and kind of like have a good friendship with her. I didn't get the chance to, and I couldn't obviously tell her during the game, but I talked to her after the game, and she's lovely. Look, her and I are good mates. We hung out last weekend with the rest of the Sydney Survivor group, so it was pretty like we're all like good with each other, and then Danny I'm good with now. So yeah, like there was nothing like no hatred or anything like that between them or anything. It's just that disappointing because I kind of wanted to kind of like spend time with Kristie at that time just to tell her, but I already got to tell her about that like after the game, so it's all done, and she appreciated it.
That's good. And I think you touched a bit on your resilience and your situation, and they had that fantastic video package about your pursuits to try and join the Army Reserve. I thought that was a part of the episode. It gave some real background to who you as a person. Often in these LRGs with a first boot, they're just gone, and you don't really know anything about them or what they were about because they're so in the show so little. And I know you're still around, but in the grand scheme of the thing, as next couple of episodes, we want to find out much more about you. Whereas here we got that great story about your resilience and your passion to be part of the Army Reserve, and I think that was I really enjoyed that. Did you enjoy that part as well?
Yeah, I'd say at this stage, I think the edit's been. I'll say Eli has edited me doing a fair bit, and I'm kind of proud of that. So he didn't edit me wrong or anything like that. The only edit I could say is that he didn't put that thing where I said I never trusted Luke, and then he only puts me I don't trust Luke. I'm the one doing the wrong thing. But I think he did say he couldn't find that scene.
That does
but
happen. The footage, there's so much footage, and some of it does get lost.
Yeah, so it's as long as it wasn't incidental. I mean, obviously he didn't do it on purpose or to try and make Luke his favorite, or it wasn't just he other than just not that. It's just that or he didn't pay attention to anything I said, because he obviously did. But yeah, that was just he just got lost. So they couldn't put everything in, unfortunately.
Yeah, and it was a long episode already. That's also can be a bit hard being the first boot, because they've got to do so much in the episode. It can't be just about the person who went home.
I know.
As I say, I'm glad they worked in that little video package about your story. Obviously, that's something really important to you, and obviously kudos to you for wanting to be part of the Defence Force and protect our country. Congratulations on that, and well done.
Yeah, well, I'm not fully qualified yet. I've still got one more training block to do before I can be all that. But I've done a couple works so far. I can't get into it that much, but other than that, yeah, thank you very much. I appreciate that, Chris.
And I guess generally, to finish up, did you have a good time on the experience? I know it's hard going out first, but I know you've crewed other LRGs, so you've been part of the community and you're passionate about it for a while. So you finally got your chance to play. You go out first. It's not the best outcome, but did you have a good time and enjoy yourself?
Look, a bit of yes and no. It's not just my game was cut short, and you would have seen me take it out in the edit. I guess this only happened I think before the LRGs, I played the Orgs, the online reality games. And this has only happened in Eli's Org, to be honest. I never made merge in Eli's Org, and then so I think because it's something under Eli, even though I'm good friends with him, I guess the reputation's still a little bit there, and it hasn't been broken yet. Yeah. So I guess that's the only thing that kind of pissed me off. But other than that, yeah, I'd say I had a good time. If I didn't have a good time, I probably wouldn't have bothered me. I would have cut ties with everyone in that Sydney Survivor community and didn't want to talk to any of them. And look, they're all good. I mean, they all spoke to me after the game. We have a Sydney Survivor group chat where we chat regularly. And then, yeah. And, I think I was just worried with how I would have been edited. But, yeah, my edit's not too bad. So, yeah.
I don't think there's anything to be worried about your edit. And
I was worried a bit what people would say, I think. There's a lot of people in the Org community who, made a bit of jokes about me. I think of a dumb move I did in an Org a long time ago, and then probably not me making merge again, and then saying nasty shit I thought, obviously.
Have you got much of that, or has it been more supportive?
Look, it's been supportive at the moment. I've only I haven't gotten anything really bad, but yeah, I don't think anyone. But the guys in Sydney Survivor, they promised they'd back me up. I mean, if someone said something really harsh, they'd get kicked out of the page.
Yeah, I don't look. I know what orgs are like. They can be a different environment because it's less personal. This is personal. People, it's a real person there on camera, and everyone to go out and play these things needs to be brave. You're putting yourself on the line. You're putting people making a film about you and editing you in a way that you may or may not agree with on the line. And everyone who's part of the community understands that that's a risk and it takes some courage. And there's a lot of people that won't do it. Even people that love Survivor and want to play wouldn't do it. So I think the community really respects everyone who goes out to play, whether you come first or last. It's you should hold your head up high that we all have done it and have all had the courage to go out and do it and take that risk.
No, you're right, Chris. Yeah, it's absolutely right. I just kind of worry sometimes, I guess, not just what other people think. It's just that you're a Survivor fan like me. You would have seen the real life Survivor players when they've been early boot, or probably the edit wasn't exactly as what you thought it was. They copped so much shit. I've got favorite players I think Phoebe, what happened to her in All Stars, you know, she got like really fucking trash talked really badly, and I don't even think her bad move in All Stars was like that bad, you know. But people still gave her shit, and so like, and then she didn't make merge twice, so like I know how she feels because it's happened to me in Eli's games. So it happened to her.
It just keeps happening.
She has. So I could see like how that would traumatize her, and then same with Sean Hansen when he played this season. I think he played his move, like his idol, wrong. He copped so much shit like that on social media, and then he had to like put it on a story trying to justify it. But you know, some people just give you shit like that because they can.
That's just the slightly better thing, I guess, about the LRG community versus Real Survivor, because Real Survivor, you got all these people just sitting in their armchairs, commenting on it, giving you shit for whatever you do because they feel you can. Whereas here with the LRGs, the people watching it are the people that are passionate about this community, and I think they're a lot more respectful about what we do going out there. It's not the same.
I guess. Well, so far I haven't commented anything bad yet. Like I've seen a few things like just some people just saying like, "Oh, it's funny how he said that," but like nothing too harsh. But other than that, it's okay. Like,
and I don't think you did anything wrong, and there was anything really to comment about. From the edit I saw, you were throwing out Danny's name. Danny heard that. She's like, "Okay, well, let's vote him out then, because that's what you're going to do." And then she just managed to get more people on board with voting with her, and that may be a factor of Luke, as you mentioned. He may have been quite a deciding factor, and that's just the way it happens. He didn't do anything wrong. And if Danny she looked to me from the video that I saw that she was also one of the people that arrived quite late. So for you, that sort of made sense for, okay, I got late, she was late. They're probably the ones people are looking at. Let's mention her. Yeah.
I don't remember if she got there late, but
she didn't arrive at all in the package. So I didn't see her arrive at all. So she must have been late as well. So,
in the edit, like as you said, like when I threw her name out, I only threw her name out, I think, because I can't remember who, but somebody said they heard her name and I was just going along with it. Pretty much everyone, what you guys didn't get to see when we were all being filmed, we'd go in small groups and then some of us would go here. We would like just throw anybody's name. A lot of people were throwing Kristie's name too. And but then some people were saying, "No, that's just too easy. We don't want to do an easy vote." And then there was like a lot of names were thrown out at the time.
It really just seemed like someone's got to go, and it just fell on you. And like that's the way it is.
It was like that.
Yeah,
I get it. It happens. So
Well, I thank you for coming on. This show we'll be doing our review of the show tonight, and you'll be able to watch it after. I know you won't be able to watch it tonight, but this interview will be there, and everyone will be commenting on it as you watch it, and I'm sure everyone will have continued positive things to say about you. I don't know if you watched last week's episode where it wasn't so much last week's, but I saw a lot of commentary on the show this week, the episode, from a lot of people like Mel from Canberra and others saying, disappointed there wasn't going to be any more John Tent. John Tent was the word that was trending in the comments, and I thought that was pretty funny. So I think you do have some supporters, and I'm sure that the people watching the show when it appears live will have a lot of positive things to say about you as well.
Yeah, true.
All right. Thanks, mate. I appreciate your time.
No worries. Thank you very much too, Chris. You have a good day.
Cheers. Bye.
Bye.
Okay, let me work out how I get rid of that thing.
Before we talk about the blue tribe, can I ask you a question, CK?
Yes.
What do you tell your coworkers you're doing when you're doing this video?
I don't tell anyone. I'm a boss. I do what I want. People work for me.
Charlie, there's a system in there being like, what is this guy just talking about?
Yeah, there are no doubt IT systems, but I am a very, very successful lawyer in a very successful firm, and I make a lot of money for my business, so no one questions what I do in my time.
Did you know CK is a lawyer?
Yeah, I thought you were a musician.
Part-time lawyer, all-time musician.
But John, that interview kind of it got me in the feels. Of course, he has a lot of it's not easy being the first one voted out, especially after playing orcs and stuff. You have an expectation, and then I do think though with Edge of Extinction, John spoke about his resilience of trying to get into the army reserves and then failing and then trying. And I think regardless of his placement, I think it'll be a nice storyline for him to like have another chance and like keep going and keep trying, and hopefully he can come back and like really like have that resilient story. I guess we'll have to see what happens.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Sounds like
absolutely.
an absolute gentleman. I love the story. I actually love the story. It was great how we got to see that, as you said, in the show. That was probably the best thing from it. We got to see a lot of John before he was booted, and we got to see, I guess, the real John, and he was vulnerable. He shared us a lot of things that some people would keep quiet, potentially. And for someone to say that in such a public forum is fantastic. And I just hope he goes well and he succeeds in his passion. And he's doing it. He's following it. And that's great.
I think that's
the John tent is great.
I just want to say the stock footage that they used to illustrate the army, that really took me out. I feel like maybe asking John for a photo of him in uniform, or something. It was something that I would tell my clients, like, we can't
look.
footage.
I'm hearing the editor, the professional editor in you, and we know how good your work is. Everyone is raving about the merge episode of Melbourne Survivor, which you edited in full, as being one of the best edited LRGs anyone's ever seen. And I did notice it was stock footage as well. And I did think, you know what, it would be cool if they had a photo of him, but it didn't really bother me. I think it's the first time in one of these LRGs I've seen them do the sort of like the thing they do in Australian Survivor, the thing they've been doing recently in American Survivor, with this flashback to your life story and what about that impacts what you're doing here. And I really liked it. I don't actually love it in real Survivor, but I sort of really liked it here.
I loved it.
I loved it too. I was going to make comment on that. It was cool getting the content from the audition videos, essentially.
But even like, you know, your decoy would be in Danny, and then showing her audition tape with her at netball, and I don't know, it just really like added, like you said, we barely knew you, John, but I feel like we'll always remember something about him. That's a really, really cool thing that I think it's a really good idea.
Yeah, and no one's done it before.
Very old school Survivor, I think. Yeah.
No, I think it was great. So Danny's video was lit as well, as we say. Danny's video is lit. It was the netball one. You can just imagine her yelling at those kids on the netball court for not being good enough. Definitely a netball mum. Sorry, I got a frog in my throat. So we looked at the Blue Tribe. We got a bit of intel there from Eli, and he's basically putting all the blame on Luke. That Luke has played orgs with him; those haven't gone particularly well. And Luke, you know, should have had his back and didn't, and they all piled on. The edit gave me more of the impression that he mentioned Danny, and then Danny found out about that, and Danny had grouped up well with Michelle, and I really felt that Kristie was wanting to sort of work with them as well. And so once the three of them were like, oh, well, we don't want Danny to go, obviously, Danny doesn't want Danny to go, then they just need to grab two more, and that looked to me to be Sam and TK. And that looked to be the group that made the decision to me.
I do think I did write in my notes, I do think Luke was, I would give this move to Luke 100%. And the reason why, even though Danny and Michelle, I do think I'm more in the power position, I think I would give this episode to Luke because I do actually think Michelle especially wanted to target Lizzie over John. And I think the votes could have gone to Lizzie, and I think it was Luke putting his foot down and kind of, in a way, throwing John under the bus. I think he played really well. Like, he swayed, he got the target he wanted, he didn't get the blame for it, and he's still like in the middle he's good with Michelle and Danny, he's really good with the men in this tribe, who I think are going to be a very strong block going forward. I think it's TK, Sam, and Luke. I have my eye on them to be a very solid threesome. I think, like, I want to see where TK goes, like, But
I think you called this
yeah.
right, Ma. She
Yeah, I
didn't
think
want
that's
someone
how I
out
saw
first.
it. And I thought I'm gonna give so many kudos to Michelle. I think she played it really well this episode. Like I said, she did exactly what I was talking about, where she's in a really good position, but she's still not disregarding the minority. Like I saw her having one-on-ones with Lizzie and one-on-ones with John, and who was the target? It wasn't Michelle, it was Danny out of that pair. I'm not saying Danny didn't do that, but I just didn't see it. I thought Michelle was really giving the time of day to the minority, and I felt like she, even if she was never going to go with them, she was never going to be their target. So I think she played really well.
You could see
Danny said she
her.
was
You could really see
So,
in the glimpses we got from Michelle her incredibly high survivor IQ, and I'm not sure. Like she did mention she plays Orgs Online, and so I'm sure she has a lot of tricks up her sleeve, and we're going to see that hopefully in the next few episodes. As my winner pick, I hope she goes all the way, and I can go back to this episode and be like, oh, I called it from the start, but we'll see.
She's a really good winner pick. I think she's a very.
Did anybody see this? Mel's called out Michelle talking to Lizzie, and Lizzie says, "I want to work with you."
Yeah. I think Lizzie's saying, "I trust you. I trust you." I think Michelle was kind of like, "It's a bit much," but I think she still did it really well. I think she
had a good poker face there too. She had a good poker face.
Yeah, I played with a few Lizzie's in the past, and like you just wanna say, keep them like enthusiastic and just not against you.
Are we Lizzie's, Ma? Were Max and I Lizzie's, or are we a different sort of
Lizzie, Lizzie is just because she doesn't. I like Lizzie. I think she's lovely. I think if she was someone who, like Max said, had a higher survivor IQ, I could see her being a good player, because I think she does have good instincts. Like I don't think she knows anything about Survivor, but I do think she has the instincts, and if she was more familiar with the game, I think she could be someone more influential in her tribe. I think it'd be interesting.
I agree with you, but I think she's going to get stuck as a bit of a bottom player now, because I feel like that group of Danny and Michelle with Kristie and Sam and TK, and then Luke maybe there as like the guy with the guys as well, has sort of formed up. Like I could see her going if they went again.
Well, this is where I wanted to ask you guys. Say the blue tribe goes again. I was thinking about it before. What would you target Lizzie as an easy consensus list, and then really solidify and really get those 6 players really close knit? Or would you take Lizzie, bring her into the side, and make a move and really take power on this tribe? Like, but you're kind of dividing there. Like, what do you do? The easy vote, or do you use her?
I don't think it's going to be the easy vote, because I think that there's too many smart Survivor players in that group. Obviously, Michelle, we talked about her Survivor IQ. We know Danny's is very high. Kristie obviously is there. Sam obviously knows Survivor very well as well. Luke has played this vote well, has played Orgs. And they're all going to look at, well, what is the vote if we vote out Lizzie now and we're 6 and we go again? And then what we do in 3-3? Like, what's actually going to happen there? And whoever
where do you see the divide? Because I think it's a very, I think it might be men and women.
I think it might be too, but I think that someone like Danny or Michelle or even Kristie can probably think they can pull over Sam.
I think TK is the one that would say it's more. Yeah.
I think Sam could get pulled to the girls. That's what I think. If they in the numbers.
Yeah. You're right. I did have Sam as working with Danny and Michelle.
Yeah.
TK more playing the middle with Luke.
Yeah.
And Kristie, I'm gonna put her in like a little shame bubble. Not for the same reason, but I do think Kristie will never be able to really have a very solid group or a very solid alliance. I think she's always gonna have to bounce, and people are gonna just use her as shields and be excited to play with her. But I doubt that she'll ever just become part of like a really core part of a group. I think she's gonna always be in the middle, like bouncing around until she eventually gets spotted out.
You're saying Kristie?
Kristie, yeah. I don't see her really becoming the core of anything. Yeah.
Yeah, because you think because she will want to do that, or do you think because other players will want to put her in?
No one will let her. I think it's like we're talking about Danny and Michelle, and we're talking about like the guys, Luke and Sam and TK. But I think Kristie, if she's with Michelle and Danny, she's the third, and she's never gonna be.
Yes,
right
she's definitely the third in that group. I would
think
agree on that.
Always gonna be just orbiting the alliances.
We did the cast assessment last week, and I'm very sure Kristie makes merge because, frankly, if I was there with her, I wouldn't want to vote her out either. I want to become besties with her and meet all her Survivor friends. So there's no fucking way I'm voting her out into a merge,
I would
and then
put
she
her
can
at
go.
first, to be honest.
I liked her approach coming into the game as well, with obviously the massive target on her back. With she's not throwing any names out. She just wants to play with people she wants to play with.
That's really smart. She was just throwing that line over. This is where you can see someone who's played 50 games of Survivor versus 50, people who played
45, 50 days.
And that's going back to before. I feel like she's established her group, who she wants to play with. Lizzie, the fact that she didn't vote with the majority already puts a target on her back. And as we know, this is a quick game of Survivor where rounds happen so fast. She's probably already, in terms of the majority in the Blue Tribe, they know she's on the bottom. She's another easy vote. And in reality, that's how these things usually pan out so early in the game. You just stick with the call you have, as Kristie said, and that was the way she approached it. And my assumption moving forward is that Lizzie's going to be, unfortunately, the one left of the minority, and she'll just be the one picked off.
And I hope not, because that'd be boring.
Mel's saying that's not a warm take. I agree. That is also, I believe, a fantastic take.
I think Luke was pretty cold. He looked pretty cold. Lukewarm.
No, Max.
That's a really bad joke. I'm trying.
I got it, Lars. I'll give you
credit. I'm in the same boat. I think there's a strategy in keeping her, but I agree with Max that the time won't be there to make that plan. You got the 3-3. The girls probably think they can bring in Sam if they lose more. The boys are just going to be overconfident because that's what boys do and think that they'll have control and they won't. And that's what will probably play out. That's how I can see it.
Yeah, Luke, honestly, he really impressed me this episode. Like, even when he went to vote, he was looking under the urn, so you can tell he's thinking. But he has merge mood written across his face. Like, I've never, he's someone that I don't think he's ever going to be able to hide. Luke.
You talking about Luke?
Yes, Luke. And I think
last week I called him pretty much in that position because I said he was the Max of this season.
He's the Max. Oh my god, that's what I wrote in my notes. I wrote Luke is the Max of this season. That's what I wrote.
I wrote that. I was like, when I wrote down Luke, I actually spelled his name wrong, MAX.
Yeah, I do think Luke. I do think there is a way Luke can make it far. I think Luke needs to understand that he's not a player that's ever gonna be able to hide. And so he needs to create a really, really strong group of people. And I think he needs to get someone like Lizzie on board. Lizzie, who's not someone who's not thinking about Survivor in the same way as Danny and Michelle, who are going to look for threats. I think he needs to pick up the people who are less experienced and get a really loyal group with him to the end. Otherwise, I think his allies right now, someone like Sam and TK, I think they're just using him as a shield, and eventually,
look, if he has played all, which we know.
Sorry, Mel is asking who's the Luke of camera. I would say Nick. Honestly, someone who's so visible, so obviously gonna get targeted.
It's all one universe.
Luke can win every immunity until the end and be super annoying about it. I don't see how. He can do it.
Max could have gone a run like that in a different multiverse of Melbourne Survivor.
I do think so.
If he hadn't hitched his horse to this wagon, he might have been able to go on the
ride. Worst choice of my life.
Come on.
It wasn't worth it.
You were the.
All I got was just some airtime on a podcast where I get bullied.
No, I've been trying to channel Annabelle, but I can't be that mean.
You just be you, Ma.
Yeah.
You be
Yeah,
the as I've claimed the greatest LRG winner we've seen in Australian LRGs. With the
Nice.
best game I've ever seen. So yeah, we want your quality takes on Survivor
Until
strategy.
Sydney, hopefully. I want to be impressed by Sydney Survivor.
Can they be
All
better than the La Madrina?
Yeah, I think
What-
so. That's my prediction. The winner of this season is better than me.
CK, who's
You're
your
just too
winner's
humble,
pick?
frankly.
I missed who your winner's pick was. Your winner's pick.
Yeah.
He's asking you, Ma.
No,
CK.
Oh, my winner pick was Sam Green.
Okay,
And everyone
so-
in the chat was accusing me of sucking up.
He's a good host and he knows Survivor, and I think he is a very honestly, I did write in my notes, TK and Sam are physically identical. I think they're both wearing a hat and they're both very similar. And I think they're both in the same really good position where they're not standing out too much and they have a look there to like get all the attention. So between CK, I can't tell the difference between Sam and TK yet. Like, what's the
Imagine if
difference?
I was on this show and it was me and TK and Sam and we could all crew up and no one would know who we are.
TK, and oh my god, TK's last name is Kelly. Is this
it?
your brother? Is this your brother? His name is Thomas Kelly.
Oh, hey, there he is, bro. It's my
Oh
bro.
my God.
Hey, Tom. Loving you on the show, buddy. Big T.
Yeah. So my winner's pick is CK's brother. Thomas
Okay,
Kelly.
let's start a campaign for someone to run LRG Blood versus Water, and me and my bro TK will go on the show.
Can I ask you guys? Do you think was this a case of the vote? Was it a case of Lacey saving herself, or was it just a matter of the group like Luke switching it to John? What happened here? Was it really did Lacey do anything to save herself?
I feel like this decision was made pretty early. Like it was always going to be John, and that Lizzie was just not part of that conversation as she's on the outs.
Yeah.
That was my interpretation of that vote.
Yeah.
I
I mean,
agree.
I'm coming for Danny. I mean, she's the best, so don't come for Danny.
Danny's saying it was Luke. So
It was
What'd she
Luke.
say?
Okay. Yeah.
Luke told her it was Danny.
Yeah. And I think at that point, Danny's like anyone but me, and Michelle obviously doesn't want to create any waves.
I guess he just wasn't informed.
I wonder if he's like, he's stuck his neck out a little bit too much with this. I don't think so. I think he's like a pretty cool player. So we'll see. Yeah.
So we've called out that we think Blue Tribe, they go again, probably Lizzie. Sorry, I'm repeating your accent. You said the name so many times. Lizzie. That would go first. That's what we think. And on Red Tribe, it was asked in the comments to circle back, who do we think would go in red? We've identified a couple of groups.
Yeah.
I feel like Ethan might play the advantage just to save himself.
Yeah, I think Ethan is here for the long haul. I think his social game will keep him safe. I have my Shane is someone I have, and the two women, Jazz and Amanda, who are a bit more quiet. I think someone like Amanda, who said that she's not very fit, might get targeted first. So I would guess Amanda or Shane would be the first ones on that tribe.
Yeah. I can see that, and Malene is like we thought maybe aligned with her from that early conversation. But I could also see if they get to a challenge and Malene's there just dominating with her fitness, and Amanda or Jazz is not doing as well, she would be frustrated by that. Like I could see being an elite athlete herself, she could get easily frustrated by people that aren't pulling their weight. Yeah,
and it might be a case of she can't get enough votes. Amanda, she seems to me like the quietest person on the tribe. So, yeah, I think Amanda would be someone who would be like an easy consensus. But maybe Shane as well. I just don't see him bonding with anyone, which is a mistake from the other players. I think they should be speaking to Shane. Yeah.
I could see Ethan being the target, him playing his advantage, and then they just do Shane instead.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
I'm gonna throw Jazz's name out.
Yes.
because
Jazz. Yeah.
Yes,
She got
could
a-
be
she-
honestly, yeah.
she got a what did we see? We saw her little bit of her story as she was the first one who arrived. I don't know, nothing. I haven't seen much from Jazz. I'm not nothing against her or nothing. I'm just because you said names.
I mean,
just thought I'd
if
just shout
you're
out
going by
for the sake of it.
with the theory that whoever came late is at a disadvantage, Jazz was the first person there, so Jazz is winning the season.
Yeah. That's very cool. All right, so the
Well,
next
at least I
episode.
look like an idiot.
Yeah,
The
can I
next
just
episode.
before you go
Hey,
to the
hey,
next
Max, you'll never be as big of an idiot as Jules, who picked me as her winner pick for Melbourne Survivor, having
God.
met me. So,
Terrible.
like,
let's see. Okay, before you talk about the next episode, I just wrote something in red in my notes, which was the
Go right ahead.
closing credits. Wow. It was amazing. Like, honestly, the acoustic version of Taylor Swift to behind all these clouds. I want to know. I don't think this is an Eli thing. I think I want someone to tell me who edited these credits because they're a genius and they're so kitschy and like they were just so cute and they had all these like different fonts.
you liked it? To me,
I think it was so extra that I was like, this is obviously someone taking the piss, and I love it. I
thought it was like a funeral, like it felt like funeral like credits of like
white
instead of the
lady
credits is like the pictures of the person, like it's
the vibe I got, and it's really in theme because I was calling out all the Twin Peaks vibes, and I know the youngins here don't know what the hell Twin Peaks is, but it was a real Twin Peaks vibe. Those credits, just like a random music piece to random pictures, like nonsensical, very David Lynch.
I think for the first episode it's fine. I think by this, you're still doing it by the third episode. My advice would be to switch it up. Make it legit Survivor. I think it's gonna get old pretty quick, but for the first episode it did make me laugh.
What did you guys think about the choice of this the Survivor theme? I never heard that particular version of
the Taylor Swift version.
Not the credits, like the opening one.
how did it go, CK? You guys remind me. How did it go?
No, Ancient Voices it's called, right? That's the song, Ancient Voices.
The opening credits was a no for me. I know it's hard to edit. It's hard to edit an LRG. Look, I know more than anyone, but using people speaking to the camera as their action shots, I would rather see them like picking the eggs or doing something else because I wasn't
Eli said that the song it was a remix that he did, and I think he'd really like boosted some parts and reduced others. Don't like it. Just find a good one, right?
I would have added some Christmas music to add to like the winter theme of the season. I would have added some like jingle bells or yeah. That's what I would have done.
Why not just curveball again? Put the end credits theme as the opening theme.
What, the Taylor Swift? No.
Just flip it over.
I will stop watching. I hate Taylor Swift.
I'm not a fan either. Okay, so look, great show. I tried to be like an hour with these, but I think this hour and a half was good content. I think we got what we needed out of it. I think it was really great analysis. It was so fantastic to have you join us for your first appearance on the ORCA Pod, Ma. La Madrina, the winner of Canberra Survivor, with your elite takes. And I really can't dismiss anything you say because you played games way better than I could ever hope to. So, loved having you. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you guys for having me.
And Max, of course, fresh off his week-long publicity tour after being booted from Melbourne Survivor, he can finally talk about his wonderful experience there. And he came on here and had some amazing takes. It's like being booted has warmed you up. It's heated you up.
Yeah, I was so surprised. I don't know why you guys bully Max. He has like pretty good insights. Maybe if you let him speak more often.
Maybe. But then sometimes I feel like I waffle too much, which is I don't know what to do when I have the spotlight. But look, the first episode for the first season of Sydney was fantastic. I love the cast. So excited to see where it goes. And it's so cool getting a lot of the cast members commenting. Thank you so much. We've been reading them. We read them, but some of them we missed. Sorry. It's great having you to be part of it, and hopefully you enjoy the content we're producing or we're giving out. Ma, thank you so much for your notes.
He gets booted. He goes on 2 shows. Now he's trying to take my hosting job. Like, what the hell?
That's what I mean. It's just the power's getting to me, CK. It's too much. Look, after this week, I'll be putting my spot.
No, it was very good. I don't always have to give the kudos. Thank you to the chat, as Max
start
said.
again, CK. Go. Start.
So I don't know if everyone's been reading the comments, but the next episode is when, Leah? When's the next episode? She said it like 15,000 times in the chat. 7:30 Sunday. Then there'll be an episode on Wednesday, and then we will do the pod. It could be a little bit of a substance to it because we're going to have 2 episodes to look at. We're going to have 2 boots to interview. We might do them as like a double interview just to keep it fresh and not make it go too long, but we'll have to work that out. But there's a lot of content coming. The week is alive with Melbourne and Sydney Survivor. You've got Melbourne on Saturday, Sydney on Sunday. You've got then the podcast for Melbourne with Danny and Jules and Ethan on Tuesday, another episode of Sydney on Wednesday, and then, of course, the ORCA pod on Thursday. Considering that there's no only Sundays.
No more Wednesdays. Okay, good, because then we're going to catch up to Melbourne.
Oh, good. 1 a week, so much better. Way better. Good call, production. I thought you were crazy doing 2 episodes a week. Too much. 1 a week, beautiful. All right, that's great. So
also,
and you have Brisbane Survivor as well.
Brisbane Survivor auditions, but also Canberra casting. The closing date has been brought forward, so
we've got too many applications.
Get your applications. Do something to really stand out, because obviously they've had a lot of applicants. So make sure you apply. Make sure you really give it like your all.
Yeah, they've had so many applicants, and they're like, so we're closing it in like another 13 days. I'm like, you're just going to get like a bazillion more applicants.
That's it. Just do it. If you want to play, just do it.
And Sydney casting is opening soon as well. So everyone, there's so many opportunities for everyone to have this game. And I think the community is only getting stronger and stronger with these seasons, and with these podcasters have really started happening. So thank you to everyone that's participated. We will see you next Thursday to cover the episode that comes out on Sunday night. Really looking forward to it. Thank you, Ma. Thank you, Max. Thank you, everyone in the chat. We will see you soon.
Thank you, CK.